Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about eating disorders, and we have Dr. Raphael who's taking it away. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello. So we'll be talking about eating disorders in children. So eating disorders is more like a mental condition where they tend to have unhealthy eating habits that tend to affect their physical and emotional lifestyles. So with eating disorder, there are different types. We have the anorexia nervosa, we have the avoidant restrictive food disorder, and also we have the bulimia,
Bulimia nervosa.
the nervosa disorder. So with this, it's good to be able to identify when your child has an eating disorder, because at least it will help you to know what to do and how to be able to prevent it. If you notice any of these symptoms, we are here to let you know the symptoms so that you can meet your doctor at the right time and try to get this off your child's life pattern. So with eating disorders, a lot of research has shown that family histories that one has an eating disorder, you can see their child having the disorder as well. So it's good to know when there's all this. At least if you have a family history of, if you know that there's a family history of this, you know that, oh, you need to meet or see a professional on time so that you can start to prevent that earlier as your child grows up. So
So most times when parents are worried about their child having an eating disorder, it's important to get that history, whether mom or dad had
Has,
problems also.
yes.
Okay, especially when they were teenagers, not when they're adults.
No, not when they're adults. When they're
Yes, when they were
they are
teenagers.
teenage, the same.
Yes.
Actually, research also shows that it's you see it in children under 12, and also is more common in female genders than the male genders. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have anything to
Any
add on.
questions? Yes. The second one that you brought up. Now, most people are familiar with anorexia nervosa.
Yes.
Most people are familiar with, well, I'm assuming most people are familiar with bulimia.
Yeah.
But the avoidance restrictive eating disorder. Tell us more about that.
Okay, with the avoidant restrictive, well, it's actually one of one of the new mental conditions they've noticed. So here
And I'm sure to have a DSM classification number 5, or because they like to put everything in classification 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last time it was like 4 and then 5.
Well, but here you classify them more like the picky eaters. So they are the ones that are selective with food. Yeah, so they tend to have a particular food they want to eat. They make choices. So that's
not your autistic children, or do they not fall under that?
Well, I think autistic children too could fall under it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but then the common ones are the ones that are the anorexia nervosa. Those ones, they are very conscious about their weight, even if they are not in a very slim, like they're not so skinny. They feel like they're skinny, so it's like they're seeing themselves big and they want to just cut off their meals and portion their foods, look at the kind of meal that they are eating. That's what the anorexia nervosa children do. Then that's the children with that.
So whether or not they are actually overweight or whether or not they are obese, they just have that
that mindset.
mental consciousness.
Exactly.
That they are, and they try to cut down their
exactly. Yes.
And sometimes they might even be just skeleton, skin and bone, but they still think they're skinny.
They are still
because they want to weigh half of what they weighed before, even though what they weighed before was even underweight. So you find out, and then you see a lot of changes because sometimes they end up not having a period because you have to have a certain amount of body fat to have normal hormonal balances, and then they have like, what's that thing called, chicken skin?
Yes.
Very prominent hair follicles. They look pale. and they're still exercising. Most of the time, they're exercising from morning to night.
Yes.
And they're not eating at all.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are actually ways for you to, like, signs that you can use to detect this. So most of the time you see that your child has excessively lost an amount of weight, or maybe gaining a lot of weight. So if you also notice if your child is so picky with food, well, I think the common ones are, my child does not eat this, my child is this, they prefer eating this particular food, they don't like eating this fruit. So usually those are the kind of, should I say, like, excuses that most parents always put out. But if you look into it, you might find out that, oh, this child is having an eating disorder. So, and also when they tend to request, now I think I also saw where research shows that children that actually scroll through social media, so here, I don't know if I should say social media affects their eating problem, but they actually said that most kids that scroll through social media and they're seeing more food, those ones with bulimia nervosa, they want to eat any kind of, so it's more like craving for something and wanting to eat it. So, and they tend to overeat. So it kind of affects their mental state, sort of.
And then after they eat all the yummy food, they feel bad, so they put their hands in
their mouth and then
throw up.
Exactly.
And then sometimes you see like scars on their feet, on their hands.
And because
that's a telltale sign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also as they vomit, it can also affect their esophagus. So that's where we have those tears in the esophagus. So other things, you notice that the child is always dizzy. When you're not eating the right amount, the nutrients that will give you blood, your blood levels, kind of go down. So
like iron, if your diet is iron
Exactly.
deficient, or folic acid deficient, which are the building blocks for blood, the red blood cells, and they end up being anemic.
Exactly. So, and other symptoms to include them always wanting to measure their weight. Those are symptoms you also look out for. The child is always feeling like, oh, mommy, let me check my weight. Or daddy, let me check my weight. At any little point, they feel like checking their weight is a necessity. So that's another sign you can use in detecting that, oh, your child has, an eating disorder.
So in managing this, is it just a dietitian that comes into play, or you have to have a child psychologist come into play to help with these children?
Well, I think both. And I think it's even more like a multidisciplinary, because the pediatrician will have to come in to make sure that if there is anemia, it should be sorted out. The psychologist will come in, to try to, counsel and also help, change their mental state. Then also the dietitian comes in with, trying to, make a diet plan that will fit in for the child, so that the child will eat properly and have the right nutrients as well. So yes, and also some of them come down with cardiac problems, like when your heart is not pumping enough, so you tend to have cardiac arrhythmias and the rest. So a cardiologist tends to also come in if the child's case is to that extent of affecting their heart. Yes.
By the time the heart is involved, that thing has been going on for a while.
Exactly.
And there are some children that, by the time they come, they are so sick, they are dehydrated, their electrolytes are imbalanced,
Exactly.
their calcium is extremely low, they could be hypothermic. Those children need to be admitted to the hospital. And sometimes they have to be given IV, not sometimes, by the time they're admitted, they get IV fluids, and they need to have for them to be discharged from the hospital, there needs to be a plan. Exactly. You have to come up with a contract, a treatment contract. If you do not gain 5 or 10 pounds in the next 1 week, you're going to be here for at least another 1 or 2 or 3 months. Who knows? You decide. So you have to negotiate with them. But it's a like you said, multidisciplinary approach. And some of these children, they have such a distorted body image that if they drink water and their weight has gone up by 1 ounce, 30 or 20, 30 ounces is a pound. If they drink water and their weight goes up, they're upset. So sometimes they don't even drink, so that the weight will be low. So it can be a major problem. And those cardiac arrhythmias, sometimes once they start eating better, it gets better and it goes away. Some don't. So it's something that one should take really very, very seriously. People have died from this thing. So at the end of the day, parents need to be astute. They need to be aware of what's going on with their children. And most times, social media has a lot. We've talked about social media a lot today, but it's that thing of, oh, look at this star that I really like. Look at the popular actresses and models and the people who seem to be successful, who have that air of success around them. They're all size 2 or size 0. And I want to be extra small, just like them. Meanwhile, there's different body types. You have your endomorphs, your mesomorphs, your ectomorphs. Some people are just built big. You know, when I used to be skinny, I had big shoulders and I was a size 8, but I was big. Well, I was a big, slim size 8. You know, but some people, no matter how much they try and lose weight, they will never be smaller than a size 8 or a size 10. And some people, they are born and they are size extra small and or size 0. So it's just a matter of knowing your body type and correcting that distorted body image. But it takes time. Some of these things take a lot of time, especially if it's a psychological thing that needs to be reversed over the course of time. So a lot of, if you're doing any psychology, parents have to be involved. It's a team, it's teamwork. And then, you know, getting the right people that will work with the child without judgment, without judging the child. Hey, why are you doing this? No, you just have to take your child from where they are to where they need to be. And with time, it tends to get a whole lot better. Sorry, I hope I didn't cut you short. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you have anything else.
Well, I just want to admonish parents, because I'd imagine that early detection would really help in the management process for conditions such as this. And self-esteem plays a large role in all of this. So communication between parents and their children is, rather important. And, it's also important to try to have family meal times where everybody's eating together at the table.
Very important.
I think that could really help with the avoidant, the picky eaters.
I mean, definitely the role of the parents, the family unit, cannot be overemphasized. I was going to talk about the mealtime, family mealtime myself. I really emphasize. So usually you cannot really control what your child eats when they are away from you. Let's say you pack a school lunch, and it could be like well packed with like all classes of food present, the fruits, the vegetables, and every other thing. And maybe your child's favorite drinks and all this stuff, even water. And you give that to your child and the child goes to school. You're not sure. Even if you're coming back home with clean plates, clean bottles and everything, like everything seems to be consumed, you cannot really be sure. Except you are sure that they are taking that meal with you. So, I mean, letting your child eat like a good, simple, yet a good
nutritious
meal before they leave the house, very important. Please, by all means, pack their school lunch as well. And if it is schools that they provide the lunch, that is even good. And then when they come home, it's best to like have a family meal as well. So you're able to monitor what your child is eating. That one, at least you're sure that they are consuming enough food at least twice a day. You're sure of that.
Thank you. That's good. So anything else?
Well, so we've actually said most of the things that we expect parents to, pay attention to. So if they notice any of these symptoms, they shouldn't hesitate to reach out to their pediatricians, and we are here to help them at any time.
Okay. All right. So that's eating disorders in a summarized form. There's a whole lot of detail that we're not able to go through because of time. But thank you for listening to us, and thank you for your time. And we'll see you soon at the next talk. Have a good one. Bye-bye.